and welcome to Miniatures Rundown. I'm Mitchell.
And I'm Cody.
And today we have some 10th edition updates. I think we're going to start doing a weekly video. That is the stuff that they've released for 10th edition, at least rules-wise. And we have a few things today. Just released today, as it is the 10th, is the Von Ryan's Leaper. I don't know why they named it that.
That's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. They could have just named it the Leaper, but I guess something else might already have that. But
I'm sure people are just going to call them Leapers, but, you know, it's the Von Ryan's Leaper.
It's the Von Ryan's Leaper. We have a coworker that looked up some of the lore, and he believes it is either the guy named Von Ryan was killed by them, or he discovered them. Is that what he said?
Yeah, it was like kind of like the Catachan whatever. I'm not big on Tyranids, but like it was like basically it's either the planet that they were first like they first found them and were attacked and killed by them, but or it was the guy that was first to be killed by them.
Which that actually makes sense with these guys, because in the lore, the reason that the Tyranids are the bad guys is because they're on a side of the galaxy they've never been before.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that like if they find something new, it would be named after a planet that they were found on.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
But these guys are basically lictors.
Yep.
And they look way better than lictors. I don't know why. I'm getting a very Primaris feel from this, that it's like they're basically lictors, but they're not really, so you should buy these models and lictors.
I mean, granted, like these guys, or at least lictors, were metal, so like all metal things were like super tiny, but we're definitely, seeing the scale creep that we see with a lot of things nowadays, like just the normal human models are getting bigger. Orcs got bigger. Everybody made the Primorcus joke when they started coming out, and then Primaris and stuff like that, which was just a fluff reason to make more true scale Space Marines, but we're starting to see that with some Tyranids. And I think they deserve it.
They're doing it with the Terminators too, but they're not Primaris. They are specifically the same unit, just bigger.
And I think that's just kind of going with the speculation that Primaris and Firstborn's not going to be a thing in 10th. Yeah. But we'll do a whole nother speculation video on that later when we find out more. But that's one of my guesses, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. But these guys, the models look great.
Oh, yeah.
They showed up briefly in the 10th edition trailer to completely annihilate an apothecary from the shadows. And I'm assuming they're going to have some kind of deep strikey thing to be able to do that.
Yeah. Oh, this is the one that took out the apothecary?
Yeah, it's
I thought he was bigger than that. Well, so I guess maybe these guys are pretty big.
Yeah, I was thinking on a 40 mil base. Yeah. Maybe a 50 if they're like way bigger.
Wow.
But I'm guessing a 40.
I mean, it was a Terminator, or no, it's just a regular apothecary.
Just an apothecary.
Right.
I mean, it was a Primaris apothecary, but he was way bigger than him.
That's true.
So
that is true. I like his little spaghetti face.
But he also has like these little like the
little
talons like on his face,
fangs.
Yeah,
I guess
kind of like spider fangs.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Or a crab, because the crabs have those little like things next to their mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah,
mohawk thingy for when he wants to headbutt you.
Maybe he has a headbutt attack.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, model looks sweet. I'm not a fan of the name, but I guess we'll see the reason that it's named that, and maybe I'll like it a little bit more. But
yeah, the name's interesting, and again, I think it'll just be shortened to
just the Leaper
or Jumpy Boys or whatever.
Yeah,
we come up with weird names. But yeah,
and that's it for them. On to
let us know what you think of them in the comments. We're big fans.
All right, and on to the Terminators. They gave us the full data sheet for the Terminators, which they are. I'm not gonna say not surprising, because there are some surprises in here. They're Terminators. They're not like wildly different than what they were before, but they do have some interesting information that we didn't have.
Yeah, they're very slow and tanky as usual.
They went up a toughness, and they went up an invuln save. They have a 4-up invuln save.
Oh wow!
An invulnerable save gets its own little like stat line in its data sheet, which is interesting, rather than having to like look and see like, oh, well, this ability gives it an invuln save.
Yeah, wasn't that like war gear for them? Like, wasn't their storm shields their 4-up invul?
Yeah, so it was. They had a 2-up 5 up normally with their Terminatus armor.
Okay.
And then if you gave them a Storm Shield, they got +1 save and +1 invuln. So 4 up.
Basically, they get that for free now.
Yeah. Which means they're pretty damn tanky.
Yeah.
Again, still 3 wounds. The only other thing that's kind of changed on here is the Chain Fist is damage 2 instead of damage D3, and has anti-vehicle 3+. And what that means is if you're against a vehicle and you roll a 3+ in the wound roll, it does not matter the toughness of the vehicle, you wound it, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
It is a particular type of strike or whatever, though they say it down here, but it's basically on a 6 you wound, it doesn't matter what it is. It's the anti-blank puts that on a different.
So it's basically just kind of like an auto wound, but
yeah,
flavorful.
So if you have something anti-infantry, like some Drukhari, like poisons and stuff like that, it would be anti-infantry 2 up or 3 up.
I see.
Rapid fire also changed a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So rapid fire X now means each time a weapon targets a unit within half of the weapon's range, the attack's characteristic of that weapon is increased by X. So normally that's rapid fire 1. You have 1 shot, it goes up to 2.
Yeah.
But they haven't shown any of this yet, but they could do some weird stuff.
Like
where it's
some
like
crazy rapid fire 5 or something.
Yeah, so it's like 2 shots at short range and plus 5 shots at half range.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Yeah, they were kind of doing something like that with the DACA weapons in Orcs, where it's like DACA 2/3. So I like that they're kind of making it a universal thing and just making it all rapid fire. This is anti, the thing that we were talking about. It is a critical wound. That's what it's called, a critical wound. So if you roll an X+, you always wound. So you could do it on the poison weapons for infantry. You can do it on vehicles. You could put anything you want there.
Yeah.
You could do anti-Necron. And it's just every Necron gets screwed by that particular weapon.
Be like a lion and anti-chaos.
Anti-chaos, exactly. I'm a fan of that. It looks cool.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, and it kind of changes it up, kind of inspires you to run different kind of stuff, especially if you're running, you're facing like a vehicle heavy list. Mm-hmm. A lot of anti-vehicle would be good.
Yeah. This is the first look at a stratagem, and it is, I feel like, much more clear than the old stratagems, because it has when it happens, who you're targeting, what the effect is, and if anything is restricted. Cannot use a stratagem to arrive on the battlefield in the first turn, so it's super clear on exactly what happens and when, and I like that.
Yeah, that is simple.
Yep. It does say core on it, which makes me think this might be like every single faction gets this, like a reroll stratagem, which is interesting. One of the reserves, your unit comprises reserves, reinforcement step of your movement phase. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the end of your opponent's movement phase.
Yeah.
So you can spend a strat to arrive in your opponent's movement phase. I misread that.
Yeah, because I mean, like a whole bunch of different armies get strategic reserves and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense.
Well, I mean, everybody gets strategic reserves now.
Yeah.
But
so
who
like,
knows what's
just
happen.
going back to the core thing, like how everybody will get this, kind of like a command reroll, but just again simplifying it so it's not named something different in every single faction.
That's the end of what it shows. It says the Fury of the First, meanwhile, makes Terminators especially effective at destroying the target of the Oaths of Moment. The Space Marine faction ability, we'll find out what that does later in the week. Luckily, it is later in the week, and we already know what that does. So we're going to go to that next.
All right.
And we're back. So the faction rules are leaner and cleaner. I really don't like their titles, but that's just me.
They get pretty cheesy sometimes.
Yeah. So we got some faction rules for Tyranids and Space Marines, which is great. And we get to find out what Oaths of Moment does, which they're reusing a whole bunch of words that they had before. Like Oath of Moment is a secondary right now, and it's kind of annoying that they're using it for something entirely different. But
yeah, I mean they're reusing words, but they're cool words. But as long as again simplified.
Yeah. It's a moment. If your army faction is Depths of Astartes, at the start of your command phase, select one unit in your opponent's army. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in your army, from your army, is with this ability, makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, you can reroll a hit roll and reroll the wound roll.
See, that's pretty crazy.
That is pretty gross.
You can basically just single out like the big bad on your opponent's army, and this can potentially just
completely full rerolls when you attack it. Wow. Yep. So they got a big bad, they got something on the objective you really need to kill. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very cool. And the Terminators are apparently slightly better at it, even though now I don't remember how they're slightly better at it because we didn't read it while we were over there. 1 second.
Oath of Moment.
When they attack something that's under the Oath of Moment, they get +1 to hit. So not only are they rerolling all hit and wound rolls, they're also getting +1 to hit. So Terminators are real good at killing that thing. And I think so. This is just a Adeptus Astartes, the basic Marine army rule.
Yeah, just a general rule. Yep.
So I think that's cool that it's like a choose a thing that is your target, which would make sense as like warriors all converging on the same point.
Yeah, when I read this earlier, I thought it was at the start of the game, but
I thought
of the
it was
command
too.
phase is pretty crazy because like.
Yeah, so every turn you get a new choice.
Yeah, you need an objective or you need to get them off an objective. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. Detachments are the next thing, and I think we get to see the...
Yeah, and it's worth noting right here, they say rerolls are significantly less common in the new edition, so this Oath of Moment actually becomes like 10 times better for that reason, because almost every army now has some sort of reroll mechanic.
Yep. Next we have detachments and the Tyranids. The Invasion Fleet Detachment rule is Hyper Adaptations, which provides 3 abilities you can choose from each battle depending on what you're fighting.
Yeah.
So we have the Tyranid generic rule, Invasion Fleet. This is kind of what they were going for with the previous Tyranids book, that it turned out was way too overpowered.
Yeah.
And it's at the beginning of the game, at the start of the first battle round, you can pick one of these, and you get that for the whole game.
Yeah. See, I still feel like it's gonna be kind of busted, because this is like you can modify a list to like bring if you're fighting a certain army. This one, like, if you're walking into your game store blind and you don't know who you're gonna play, and then oh, let's play the guy that's playing guard, you can literally just switch things up like right here.
Yeah.
Like at the start of the game, you don't have to remodify your list. You don't have to do anything. Just like, nope, boom, I'm bringing Swarming Instincts.
Well, see, my counterpoint to that is that Tyranids, first of all, it makes sense for Tyranids to do because they are adapting. That's their whole shtick.
Yeah, that's fair.
They adapt. But second of all, if you look at every other faction that's not Tyranids and they have this is very good against vehicles, nobody takes it, because if it's good against vehicles and your opponent doesn't have vehicles, then it's bad. So I actually really like this because it makes your matchup into it's less of a like skew list, I want to target this specific thing, and more of a generalist thing, which you should be doing anyway.
That's definitely fair, and it makes every game fun because you feel like you can be competitive to a certain level on every game, so you're not having any bad games where you brought the wrong list and you're just absolutely getting smacked. So
yeah, so
I like it.
I like this a lot. Like I said, they were kind of going with this the first time, but then they also kind of cranked up all of the units to make them too ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they turned it off so that you have to pick. You don't pick at the start of the game. You pick in your list building.
Gotcha.
So they made it how it used to be, and now this is how they wanted it to be.
Yeah. So maybe them understanding codex creep this time around, it won't be super busted, but it will at least change the game up and make it fun.
Yeah, I hope so. We have 3 abilities here. We have versus infantry or swarms, you get sustained hits 1. Versus monsters or vehicles, you get lethal hits. And against characters, if a critical hit is scored, the attack has precision. We don't know at the moment what any of those do.
Is that on this article?
Lethal hits,
so.
It says automatically wound on a critical hit. Lethal hits is their auto wounds on a hit roll of a 6. Okay. And then my guess would be that sustained hits is exploding hits.
Probably.
Precision, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, we will find out later.
In their army ability, the Tyranids can manipulate battle shock tests with Synapse and Shadow of the Warp, but we'll find out what those do later. Unfortunately, we don't know what that is yet.
But more Tyranid rules next month.
More Tyranid rules. A little look at detachments, and they reused Armour of Contempt again.
Yeah, but I mean, at least this one, it still does the same thing.
Yeah, but it's a strat now, so that's fair. So this is the Gladius Task Force, which looks to be the first detachment that we've seen that's not like generic Space Marines or generic Tyranids.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a stratagem for it. You can pick a Astartes unit, and when it's being shot at, worsen the armor penetration by 1. So yeah, it's what it... Although it... Oh, it says combined with their transhuman physiology in the little flavor text. It is basically what it was before, which is fine, except it's only on target thing for a stratagem.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, see, that Gladius Task Force is what makes me believe that there's just going to be some cookie-cutter stratagems for Space Marines, at least at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you can take any Space Marine in a Gladius Task Force, and it'll kind of like...
Yeah, I believe that.
It'll change what you bring.
The first look at enhancement, which is... So it's kind of... Enhancements are warlord traits and relics combined with each other. So it says, unlike stratagems, there's no core enhancements. Each one is tied to a specific detachment, tailored to your roster and abilities. These include personal war gear like Artificer armor, or talents that allow commanders to enhance the unit they're leading, which we'll talk about that at a future time. But
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of sort of artifacts. I said artifacts. Relics and warlord traits at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and they said that characters can't have more than 1, and you can't have more than 3 in your army.
Yeah.
So that's basically all we know about them right now. This one gives a save of a 2-up and a feel no pain of a 5-up.
Yeah.
Which I would guess feel no pain does what it's always done, which is a save after the save.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's Artificer armor already, like, or warlord trait.
Yeah, like I said, they're mixing a bunch of the words around.
At least, again, they're using the same words, but they do the same thing.
At least it's not something wildly different.
Yeah.
Like detachments.
Yeah, like...
But yeah, so I think that's all we got for you today. Tune in whenever we decide to do this show next on the updates for 10th edition.
Yeah.
Until then, I've been Mitchell.
And I've been Coty.
Bye-bye.
Bye.